Hello, learning community. I'm Dr. Lee, an educator in Baltimore, Maryland. Since my scholars were reading a historical fiction novel encompassing the Revolutionary War, I wanted them to develop personal connections of this time period in history to our home city of Baltimore. Prior knowledge for this activity began with a previous National Geographic lesson comparing a Revolutionary War time period map of Boston, Massachusetts with a map of Boston, Massachusetts of today. This activity prepared my scholars to research and compare maps of Baltimore from around the time period of the Revolutionary War to present day. Their final products consisted of a slide presentation showcasing their research, comparisons, contrast, and constructed responses to assigned questions. The National Geographic Framework connections demonstrated in this activity highlighted my scholars' curiosity by fostering discussion, encompassing them to consider how and why European colonists chose the site of Baltimore to populate. Observation included my scholars utilizing past and present maps of Baltimore to glean information, as well as using prior knowledge of the Revolutionary War and the necessity of historic cities having access to large bodies of water for survival. Communication focused on the use of various sources to compare and contrast Baltimore maps during the Revolutionary War and current time, and to collaborate in groups to locate these various sources. My scholars problem solved with all acquired information on past and present Baltimore to compose explanations to assign activity inquiries. This research path allowed scholars to understand the human journey of early settlement of Baltimore through today. They also were able to analyze and interpret the research maps of Baltimore to describe its physical and cultural features. My scholars have added to their continually developing and evolving knowledge base and made personal connections to our great city of Baltimore, Maryland. This activity has allowed them to take ownership for their learning and to internalize the human footprint on Baltimore and other populated sites. So, do you think the changes in Baltimore from around 1776 until today are positive, and why or why not?
I think the changes in Baltimore today compared to 1775 are not positive because we've cut more trees down to make more houses and more buildings, and honestly stuff that we don't even need to survive. So I honestly think that we're destroying the earth because we're taking it apart little by little for more supplies and more needs we need in our everyday lives.
Okay. Does anybody have a different point of view?
I have a different point of view. I think the differences of Earth are positive because we have more ways to travel, and people are we have more houses for people, so we have more people in here to buy more areas and to have bigger homes.
Okay. Anybody else want to make a comment?
Some differences right now that are that technology has been created and people are using technology today as GPSs, cars, TVs, electricity, and more.
Do you think that's a positive change in Baltimore?
Yeah, because back then people didn't have anything else.
I want to evaluate on Adrian and Kevin's point of view. Since the technological improvements of of modern times, speaking to other people and has been much easier since because of cars, roads, planes, and many more other ways to travel and talk to.
Okay, thank you, scholars. They have expressed their role as future stewards of the planet and positive and negative effects of choices made in developing a habitable site. I have embraced the importance of extending activities because this gives scholars the opportunity to own their learning as well as effectively teach others to ultimately become the instructors to other peers. Bye.